Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, March 13th, 2013. Well, we've heard it from the Germans, we've heard it from the British, and now we're beginning to hear it from the Americans/Bermudians regarding Solvency II. Aspen Chief Executive Officer Chris O'Kane has slammed the ongoing delays surrounding the implementation of Solvency II in Europe, claiming that the regulatory directive is a solution to a problem that does not exist, and its introduction will adversely affect shareholder returns. O'Kane said it's hugely embarrassing for a CEO to keep having to tell his team to be compliant with the requirements of the directive when the regulators change the implementation date again, and again. He was speaking at an insurance conference in Doha. He said, it's talked about as being 2017, yet another delay. In the UK, the cost of compliance of Solvency II to date has been around $4.5 billion, and we're not yet compliant. That really is a lot of money. He said that the insurance industry have served the population of Europe extremely well for the past 50 years. We have not had major significant failures across the EU. I feel Solvency II is a solution in search of a problem that probably doesn't exist. However, he did say that the directive has some value. He said, I think enshrining the capital model at the heart of decision-making and ensuring boards understand the risk-weight implications is actually hugely important. Very interesting. These are after the comments last week from Nove CEO Hastings Bass, I should say. Somali pirates have released a Greek-owned oil tanker and its 26 sailors after seizing the vessel in the Arabian Sea last year. The Liberian-flagged MT Smyrni was released, as well as 26 sailors on Saturday. Now, the interesting thing about this is that apparently the incident of piracy rates has dropped dramatically. This is according to the International Maritime Bureau. Globally, 297 ships were attacked in 2012 compared to 439 in 2011. This shows a welcome reduction in attacks to ships, mainly due to the presence of international navies offshore. A total of 174 ships were boarded by pirates last year. 28 were ultimately taken. Jack Byrne has passed away. He passed away at the age of 80 after a battle with cancer. Mr. Byrne died on March 7th. He was the father of Mark Byrne, as well as others. Warren Buffett credits him as the man who saved Geico from bankruptcy. Buffett said that Geico was broke in the summer of 1976 and about to go out of business. Then Jack Byrne took over. I met him for the first time on a Wednesday night and was so impressed that I started buying the stock the following day. Of course, Geico is now part of Buffett's insurance empire. Our condolences to Jack Byrne's family. A Boeing plan to redesign the 787 Dreamliner's fire-plagued lithium-ion batteries has been approved by the FAA. It's going to move the plane one step closer to getting in the air again. It's going to include changes to the internal battery components to minimize the possibility of short-circuiting, as well as better insulation and better venting. The FAA did not provide an estimate for when the grounded plane might take to the air again, but sources indicate that the agency could give final approval by mid to late April. Boeing's redesigned batteries will have to pass a series of 20 separate lab tests, and then flight tests would follow. If the batteries fail any one of those tests, it's back to the drawing board and it's going to start all over again. Last night, a tugboat pushing an oil barge south of Louisiana in a bayou struck a gas pipeline. South of New Orleans in a bayou struck a gas pipeline that burned for hours and left 4 people seriously injured. The boat, which is named the Shannon Setoun of Shannon Setoun Towing of Pierreport, Louisiana, encountered apparently a gas pipeline that's owned by Chevron. The pipeline subsequently exploded. It had liquid petroleum gas in it. Chevron was able to isolate the pipeline so that only the gas that was in that particular branch ignited. The area is thinly populated and no evacuations were ordered. Excuse me, U.S. retail sales really jumped in the month of February. Americans bought more cars and a range of other goods, even as they paid higher prices for gasoline. The Commerce Department said this morning that retail sales jumped by 1.1%. Economists had been expecting an increase of only half of 1%. And in Rome, black smoke billowed from the little chimney installed on the top of the Sistine Chapel this morning, indicating that cardinals had not yet selected a new pope. This was after their second and third rounds of voting. There'll be 2 more rounds of voting this afternoon. And in Saudi Arabia, 7 men convicted of theft, looting, and armed robbery were beheaded this morning. This is more than a week after their families and a rights group appealed to the king for clemency. The 7 were arrested in 2006 and received death sentences in 2009. Several of the men were juveniles at the time of their arrest. The original sentences called for death by firing squad and crucifixion, presumably not each getting both. The situation in China with the carcasses of the pigs continues to worsen. There are now up to 6,000 dead pigs floating in the Huangpu River, about 15 miles north of Shanghai. The Chinese continue to say that Shanghai, a city of 23 million people, has absolutely no water problems and the city's water is fine. This claim has incredulous residents one-upping each other with one-liners on the country's most popular microblog service, Xin Weibao. Quote, "Since when is finding dead rotting pigs in a major river not a public health problem?" one user asked. Answer, when this happens in China. The officials say that no pollution has been found in the city's water quality. However, if the water does become more contaminated, we will put more disinfectants and activated carbon in to purify the water. Somebody in China has been watching the broadcast because apparently many residents have begun drinking bottled water in fear of contamination. I would continue to do that. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you.